Hey there, it's Linda, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my top 7 tips for grad school interviews. So this advice is from my clinical psychology professor that I used to get into my counseling program. Tip number 1 is to prepare for the questions. Write out a possible list of all the questions you might be asked. You can also ask your professor what questions they asked or were asked, and same thing for any graduate students you might know. Even though you might not be able to prepare for all the questions that you might ask, you can probably guess at some of the common ones. So for example, they're probably going to ask you to tell them a bit about yourself, what your research interests are, and any research or clinical experiences that you have. And I'm probably going to be making a video about this in the future, so stay tuned for that. If you have a great relationship with a professor or a grad student, you can also ask them to do a practice interview with you, but if not, you can ask a friend or family member. So even though you want to be prepared for the interview, you don't necessarily want to be over-prepared. So you want to be confident and also genuine. And this is because the admissions committee is going to be evaluating whether they can see you in a counselor or psychologist role. And sometimes being in those roles requires you to be spontaneous and be able to think on your feet. So tip number 2 is to do your research on the school, the program, and the supervisors. So every program is going to have something that makes it unique and makes it want to be something that you apply to. So try to figure out what that is. So for me, I really like the fact that in this program, the classes were really small and I could really get to know my classmates and professors. I'd already done my undergraduate program at this school as well, so I was really quite familiar with it. And I also really liked the motto of the school, which was about engaging the world. So I was always the type of person who would be involved in the school and in the community, so the motto of the school really resonated with me and I felt like a connection with it. Make sure you can also talk about your research interests and be specific. So for example, you want to be able to talk about the population or phenomenon that you want to study and the research methodology that you want to use. So try to make connections between your research interests and the research interests of your supervisor so they can see that there's a fit there. Definitely make sure you can talk about the work they're doing in their lab and also how you can add to that or expand on it or even take it in a new direction. If you're able to get them talking and have a really good discussion about research, then this is really going to improve your chances of getting admitted into the school. Tip number 3 is to keep in mind that it's both what you say and how you say it. So in terms of what you say, you generally want to avoid giving unnecessarily long answers. So about 3 sentences should be enough information to answer each of the questions. You also want to keep in mind your body language. So in North America, when we meet someone, we generally want to give a firm handshake and make eye contact. During the interview, you want to definitely be sitting up straight, smiling, and also making some eye contact. You also want to avoid pointing at the interviewer because this can seem rude and sometimes it might even seem threatening. Be confident in yourself and never put yourself down in front of the admissions committee. You also want to match the energy of the interviewer so they can kind of see that you're compatible and would make a good fit with them. So it can be pretty normal to feel nervous before an interview, but too much nervousness can really impair our performance because we won't be able to focus and answer the questions to the best of our ability. So if you're feeling nervous, then definitely do something before the interview to try to calm those nerves. For example, doing some breathing exercises or listening to some happy or relaxing music. Definitely find what works for you so you can be prepared and focused and ready to tackle the interview. Tip number 4 is to remember that everything's part of the interview process. Even if you're not being formally interviewed, you're still under observation. And yes, this is very nerve-wracking. So for example, let's say you traveled from abroad and they're giving you a tour of their school, or maybe they give you some time to talk to graduate students. So these things are going to be a lot more common in clinical psychology programs compared to counseling psychology because research is a lot more common in clinical psychology and they want to make sure that you're going to be the right fit for their research team. Present your best to the staff, the faculty, and the students at all times. You never know who's going to have an input with the admissions committee. And all the information gathered from your entire visit is going to play a role in the decision that they make and deciding whether you're the right fit for their program. Tip number 5 is to prepare questions for the interviewers. You want to ask them about their research, about clinical experiences you can get, or questions about the program in general. You might also want to ask them, how have you structured your lab? What is your supervisory style? What is your view of the ideal graduate student? What are the strengths and the weaknesses of the program? And maybe even ask them about some funding opportunities. If they've written a research article recently, you might also want to ask them some questions about that. Have about 3 questions prepared that you can ask the interviewers. And don't just ask them some basic questions that you can find on their website. Choose questions that show that you've done your research and you're really interested in learning more. This will show a genuine interest in the program and make you seem like a favorable candidate. Tip number 6 is to talk to multiple graduate students in the program. You might get a chance to talk to graduate students during the interview, but if you don't, you can ask for their contact information and talk to them afterwards. So you should have a separate set of questions for the graduate students, but it's okay to ask the same question from different grad students. So you can definitely ask them about the expectations for coursework, clinical work, comprehensive exams, dissertation, and theses, and other parts of the program. You can also ask them what the atmosphere between staff, faculty, and students are. You can also ask them what type of lifestyle do students have, where do students go for practicums or internships, what do you like best and least, and what is it like working with the supervisor. So it might be a bit hard to make decisions about which program you want to go to if you're not sure what it's like working with that supervisor. So definitely talk to grad students who've been in that program to help you make this important decision. Tip number 7 is to thank the interviewers, both at the end of the interview and by sending a thank you email. If you have any good questions, you can also call or email and talk to the people that you're particularly interested in working with to show that you're really seriously thinking about their program, and also so they keep you in mind when they're doing the final review of the applications. You might also get a phone call from someone who's interested in working with you as a student, asking if you have any questions. To show that you're really interested in their program, you might want to come up with some questions to ask them and maybe even have a list prepared ahead of time. Finally, congratulations on getting through the interview. Now you just have to wait for the admissions committee's decision. Good luck! And if you're looking for more information about applying to grad school, then check out this playlist. And if you're looking for more videos on navigating through college and beyond, then definitely be sure to subscribe for more videos. So thank you so much for watching today, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye!